Yo, 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 guys, welcome back to the Warriors Invitational, a very special edition of the Warriors Invitational tonight. The season is over. It is time to move on, but we figured it's a fun time as any to look back on some of this Warriors history. And we have who is now one of the preeminent historians on our Warriors history, Izzy Gutierrez in the house. Izzy, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, thanks. I'm trying to think of the list of people who would be considered Warriors historians, but I guess I can make that list, sure.
I was on the fence about it. I was like, well, does he really have his bona fides? But then listening to the show, I was like, oh, he's talking Run TMC.
Yeah.
We're really getting into the deep lore here. So, I think you've earned your title.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've said it on the show, the Dub Dynasty podcast that I had. It's in the verge of or on the process of being released every Tuesday. Yeah, it's the Warriors were the team that made me fall in love with the NBA. In 1991, I was 12, 13 years old and sitting on the couch watching every time they'd come on TNT, as often as I could. And then once the playoffs came, like I was 100% a fan. And then, yeah, every single game against the Spurs, every single game against the Lakers. And it just, and along the way, they had just fun teams, whether it be the Chris Webber, Latrell Sprewell teams or the We Believe teams. It's just always like, whether or not they were championship contenders always sort of kept you interested in basketball because they were fun to watch.
Oh yeah, incredibly fun team. And I love that you get the build up into the history of Don Nelson and everything. But I mean, of course, people can go listen and
Right.
hear for themselves on that. So, run to your podcast apps to all of our listeners.
Izzy, I
But
gotta ask you, man.
Yes.
When was your first game that you went to in the Bay Area? Um,
Man, so that actually was, so I grew up in South Florida. So, and at the time that I fell in love with the Warriors, the Heat was just an expansion franchise. So there weren't really much to really link to or, really embrace there. And so, man, I think, yeah, once I started covering the Miami Heat, so my first was probably the year 2000, was probably 2000, 2001 season. I don't remember what the hell happened. I just remember that was definitely the year that it happened. But yeah, since I was, covering the team for 7, 8 years, I'm pretty sure I never gave up a San Francisco trip or an Oakland trip. So was there first time probably 2000. Yeah.
really, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, because like you always hear like, especially nowadays, like obviously the move to Chase Center, the new fans that are in there, everybody has their whatever thoughts they have, but I feel like every Warriors fan, regardless of era, like we were obviously more not early 2000s. That We Believe team was at least my first kind of experience with the Warriors and going to a game, but that energy of Oracle Arena, I feel like was just different compared to you know. Not compared to Chase, but like what you see in terms of now, and like when you talk about like Dub's history, like it's really cool to like hear somebody from watching the Run TMC guys all the way to the step
Right. Well,
we're
what I'll
in.
say, what I recognized once I went there, early on, and it didn't matter if the team was any good, the building had like a soul to it. Like it wasn't just like the fans, even if it was a terrible team, like the fans that were even within earshot of the court would just be talking basketball. Like it was weird. Like they just knew what was going on. There was a real sense of like a connection with the team, and you just kind of felt that from the people in the stands, and you don't really get that everywhere you go. Like I'm from Miami. Like you're not going to get a bunch of like deep basketball talk from the people sitting in the first row. So yeah, I thought that was always pretty unique, and it always made sense that it was like a place that was desperate for like basketball success.
I mean, yeah, you're talking
oh
about a
yeah.
place that they wanted to crucify tar and feather Joe Lacob for trading a guy who was
That's so funny.
was never an all-star, man. So they're insane. Izzy, I was curious, man. You went through like everything. It's really cool to listen back to. Um, I'm really enjoying David Lee and Bogut because I think it's kind of like meta that they're the two guys who are at least in the first few episodes, kind of giving you the most. What have you come away with that maybe you did not think about this most recent Warriors run that maybe you didn't have in mind, before you started this whole process?
Yeah, so I will give you a little background. So the I did a similar pod on the Miami Heat. It was basically on LeBron's 4 years with the Heat, right? And so it's called 4 Years of Heat, and it was in 2023, and it was it was received really well, and that's why we wanted to work on another one. And because I really love the Warriors, and because it was a 10-year anniversary of the first title, it made all the sense in the world. But the experience of doing it was pretty unique because you're just asking guys to talk about the good old days, right? And it's in this media age, like just 2 years ago with the Miami Heat, I was a little bit more successful in getting some people, whether it be a Ray Allen, Shane Battier, people that I might have had more of a connection with. I would say this one, because it was such a longer era, it's what, 2.5 times the 4 years of Heat. So it was, I would say it probably required a little bit more, but it was so much more difficult to get, right? Because even a lot of guys, some of the guys are still playing. That makes it more difficult, right? But the guys that I did get were so great that it really filled that picture. And those two guys that you mentioned in particular were two of my favorite interviews, were David Lee and Andrew Bogut. Like, I think we all know, and maybe we don't want to dig too deep here. I think we all know Andrew Bogut's going to be honest about whatever the hell you ask him about, right? Like he is not holding back. And so I loved when I talked to him, he set it up where it was 7 a.m. his time. So he got out of bed, cracked open the laptop and was just like talking Warriors right out the gate. And he was great. Like he, could have been, it's like we knew each other forever. And David, so for the 4 years of Heat podcast, it just so happens my first interview then was Joakim Noah, and I'm a Gator. Joakim Noah's a Gator. We sort of bonded about that. And David Lee was the first interview I got on this pod, and I was just like, that's how I know this one's going to be just as good because the vibes are the same. And he was so, and I remember just because he's a Gator, because I had that connection to him. I was really aware of his role with that team, and it felt good that he was able to sort of get the credit for whatever it is, taking a step back, playing whatever role he needed to play, despite being an all-star, before that. And so, yeah, it was probably the right starting point for me. But my favorite little detail of anything that I didn't know was after Klay Thompson's 37-point quarter that David Lee took the boys out and ordered 37 bottles of vodka. And that, he's like, obviously we didn't drink them all, but it was just a symbolic thing. And, we took the rest to go, I guess. But that was probably
David for
my
the
favorite little
championship,
detail.
David for the championship celebration that year. So
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting too, is I would have thought, yeah, what like you were saying, a lot of this was a decade ago or even more when you go back to the conversations you had with like Warriors management before this all even started. You're going back to this days where Steph got drafted.
Right.
And I'd imagine for a lot of people, they're like, well, this is just old news. We don't want to bring it up. And especially when you're looking at the Warriors, like you said, a lot of them are playing, or a lot of these guys have podcasts of their own. So
Right.
they're just like, well, why would I give you all the sweet tidbits when I can just, do
Right.
this on my own show?
Right. But the thing that I love about this is, and this is what, in the internet age, you go, like, I've seen so many videos of things that it's like, wow, you wouldn't believe what this guy did in the league. And it's somebody that I covered, 15 years into my experience, right? So I was just like, I like the idea that everybody knows what I know is ridiculous, right? Or what you guys know about the Warriors. And so what I recognized what happened when I did the Heat one, and even though it had been only 10 years in my mind, that's a long period of time for a lot of people. And not everybody knows, all the specific details. And on top of that, there's kind of like a goosebumps, a little bit situation when you hear the calls again, when you see, going through that stuff again. And that's why it's so fortunate to me doing this with the NBA and having, access to all the archives and any call that we want. It's just really cool to be able to even hear that again. But my point is there's no place unless you go search for it that has the whole story, even of just the last 10 years in one place where you might not get every single voice, but you pretty much get every detail that you need. And like I said, if you're not filling in with things that you didn't know, it's just worth the nostalgia because I mean, that's kind of the whole point, right? Like you're a fan of a team, you really like the sport. It's like, hey, if you went through a great time, you want to experience that again. And if it just so happens to be, in a podcast while you're going to work, sort of brings back some good memories.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
definitely,
really cool.
definitely
I
brings
mean,
back the memories.
yeah, and speaking of like we was talking about it when like starting off with like when Steph got drafted in 2009, like I was 10 years old then. I'm 26 now, and the guy's
Yeah.
still going into an offseason retooling to try and get another championship. So when you talk about like the nostalgia, it's interesting because how unique is this experience? Because like you said, these guys are still playing right now, and obviously with this series in particular, this year, like the ups and downs. Obviously the Jimmy Butler trade kind of changes the trajectory of the next couple of years, and Steph, Draymond, Steve Kerr still here and looking to hopefully get a fifth ring and what would be whatever 11 years since the fourth. But how
It
unique is
is crazy unique.
yeah.
And like the thing that makes it so, and I hate to like oversimplify it, Steph Curry is just like if there was anybody in sports that I would consider potentially to be an alien, it would be Steph. And it's not just because it seems like he has some otherworldly control over the basketball, but he does all that and everybody thinks he's like the perfect human being. And if you're a perfect human being, you might be an alien. And so, like, the part that makes it so unique is just like, I can't imagine another player in this player empowerment era coming in as, let's say, a 19-year-old, getting into, now he wasn't in the perfect situation right off the bat, but he got into it with Steve Kerr eventually. And, to give him his credit, like Mark Jackson put him in a position to be, the lead role, the lead man, and everything else. And so everybody played their part to get to where they are. But is in the perfect spot, the perfect coach to pair him with for like long-term success, but also just to really amplify what he does and build that team around him. I would say probably the perfect fan base or the perfect market because of how desperate, like 40 years from a championship, like how desperate they were to win, but also how much they loved basketball. Put that all together, and then the fact that they did it organically in that first one, like everybody homegrown, from the draft. The next one, break, MJ's 72-10 record. Granted, they didn't win it, whatever. It just added to this storyline, gave them sort of a villain, right, in LeBron James to really complete the story. Because what is it without one of those? And then just, going complete like Avengers with KD, like it was just such a great story, but all of it is because of Steph Curry. Like Steph Curry just makes all of that work. He makes Draymond work. He makes Clay be a luxury, right? Like it's okay for you to just be that guy that can do crazy offensive shit, but you can do it whenever you need to. Like we don't need it all the time. And that he just does because that organization, the new ownership, wanted to bring the basketball side with the business side and just merge everything. Like there's probably no two more perfect people to be in that spot on the basketball side than Steph Curry and Steve Kerr. And so just everything that goes into place, I don't think anything like this could happen again over the course of, a 20-year player's career, but it's largely because of Steph and everything that not just the person that he is, the uniqueness that he brought to the league, how other people, as long as you have a decent basketball IQ, can work around him and you really want to because of how it looks when you do and how it feels when you do. And he makes everybody so happy around him. It's like, that's what makes it unique. And that's why I say, like, this might be the last of these like extended dynasties surrounded around, one or two players.
Do
Yeah, well,
you
all roads lead back to Steph. That's kind of just the crazy thing that it's been through this, where even the years where Kevin Durant was there was obviously a lot of debate over who's the better player, but even then you could still say, well, KD could not have reached those heights if Steph was not the guy who could take a step back and could say, you know what, there are going to be nights where it's KD's night, and I'm not going to try to
Right. And
take
if
that away from
KD had
him.
been paired with the perfect coach, a few years into his career with the perfect, organization, like he could be the GOAT right now. So it's like a lot of, circumstances come into play, but it is what it is. And, Steph has shown us like there's just been nobody like him.
Yeah,
are you
it's
are you watching right now, Izzy? And like, is any of that stuff, is any of what you just described just with Steph and Steve, and even like I guess in broader like the entire context of your show? Are you watching the playoffs right now? I guess our Warriors are now they're now knocked out, as we can
Mhm.
all grieve over, right? But um, how has that shaded your viewing in the last 4, 5, 6 months as you've been doing this, maybe longer? Um, just yeah, talk about it.
It has shaded my view in that I believe that a healthy Steph Curry on just about any roster has a chance, if they start the playoffs healthy, has a chance to win a championship. Like that's how good he is. And now, obviously, it really can't do that. You can't just drop him into the Washington Wizards and say, "Hey, coach, go win a championship." But you guys know what I'm saying. Like that 2022 title kind of changed everything in terms of how I viewed what he can do. And frankly, he has changed how dominant he can be. Like he understand. There was something about that. Um, you guys remember from the Gold? I forget the name of the show on Netflix where they did.
Cold-blooded.
Right.
Oh, quarter
What?
gold, quarter gold.
That
Sorry.
Court of Gold from the
Yeah.
Olympics, where he called, the ear tug play, and like Steph and Steve told, yeah, let's call this play, and he knew exactly what was going to happen, and he knew they couldn't stop that. Like that was sort of just indicative of just Steph recognizing, and it didn't happen then; it happened a few years before that. Just how he can be absolutely dominant, and nobody can do anything about it. And so I've even thought about this, like just going forward, not to just like praise him too much, but like going forward, he's only got so many years left. You don't want to wear him out. You might want to build a team around him that is way more defensive oriented, that you're looking at games that you just know they're going to be close because Steph from the 6 minute, 6 minute, the last 6 minutes, 6 minutes of the game, there's nobody else you would want on your team in order to provide offense. And you could just win the close games. And then you get into the playoffs and you just win that way anyway, because that's how you're supposed to win in the playoffs, right? Defense and clutch play. And I think you could absolutely do that because there's nobody else in the league that just can call a play and just like, look, it's really just make or miss for me because I know I'm going to get this shot. I know I'm going to get this look. There's nothing this defense can do. And like, I loved that Houston team. Absolutely loved this year's Houston team. One of the most fun, this is a weird thing to say, one of the most fun defenses I've seen in a long time. And it was just Steph, like, what the hell are you gonna do? Like Amen Thompson. I love that dude. And he was like so frustrated from the first game in that playoff series because Steph is just, like I said, he's an alien. He's different.
That felt truly like the most. You talk about that series too. That was a lot of fun. I obviously a little, watching a 3-1 lead be
Yeah.
erased as a Warriors fan is extremely triggering, but it was an extremely fun series, came right down to the wire. I think that was the most pure and distilled form of these are two excellent defenses. Like there are, star level players on both sides. There's excellent role players. There's two really good coaches going toe to toe here. It truly just felt like it came down to one team had Steph Curry and the other did not.
Yep.
That's what it felt like.
It is. And that's what makes like the whole Kevin Durant era, I feel like, I don't know how to phrase it, like frustrating for Kevin Durant. Like he got what he wanted, but the Steph Curry, like I don't know, his aura is just so great that it just never felt like Kevin Durant could get the adoration that he wanted because everybody's just so magnetized, like just a pull to Steph Curry. Like I was thinking about this even in 2019, like you think KD was pissed that in game 5, when he tears his Achilles, that those two MFers go 3-3-3, bang, 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 and force a game 6? It's just like you couldn't just end it when I tore my damn Achilles. You had to just prove one more time that it's Stephen Clay's Warriors. Like, even that was just like one last dagger on the way out.
Well, it's funny because you talk about this stuff and it's like, especially with the Kevin Durant spotlight conversation, and you brought it up earlier, Izzy, but Steph is the only person who frequently gets compared to God. And so there's not really a spotlight to share with God.
Right. And that, I mean, it's a perfect way to put it. And so, like, I think for KD's purposes, like for his own mental health down the road, to never need another burner account, like he needs to think in those terms. Like, just put Steph on the proper pedestal that he needs to be, not as a basketball player, just as a human influencer, and then say, okay, I still did my part. I still dominated all the way through those damn fun. Even like my favorite series for him was I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am because it was just like, oh, you guys are questioning me. Boom, 30, 30, 40, 50 series over. And yeah, he was amazing.
Yeah, I mean it's so fun to just think back to these times because now as you say like as you've seen the Warriors kind of evolve into this like post or like the latter half of Steph's career, you look back and you're like, I see why everybody hated us for 3 years. Like that team was just so unfair and
Well, no, I'll tell you why people hated you. It wasn't just they hated the team. They hated, and this is Miami Heat experienced the same shit. Like they hated the fans. It felt like all the fans were new. Like, and not like most of you weren't, but a lot of the loud ones were new. And so that was what was annoying. Like the basketball itself, like it was awesome. Like
yes.
it was great to watch the Warriors down 20. Like that's when you wanted to turn it on because they were just like, all right, this is gonna be fun. They'll probably erase this deficit within 5 minutes. And yeah, it was just beautiful.
It felt like that watching the game four against the Timberwolves
Mm,
because it was a close game going into the third quarter. They're still tied up, and Wolves lock down defensively. Anthony Edwards gets hot. They go on a 17-0 run in about 4 minutes.
yeah.
And I'm sitting there just going, oh, so that's what that feels like. Like it
Yep.
just to
The
feel your whole
inevitability
season.
or the
Yeah.
the impo the you there's nothing you can do when Anthony Edwards is hitting hot from the perimeter. And like it's different from Steph, obviously, because Steph's not gonna just yam it on you. But yeah, when he's pulling up, it's just like Jesus Christ. If he hits four of those, five of those in a row, that's when you're just like, he does kind of look like MJ a little bit. Like in
Yeah,
that you
Izzy,
can't do anything about it.
give us your ant talk right now because Gotham and I were talking earlier. This is like I don't think he's the best player in the world. I think it's like pretty obviously Jokic at this point, but the way every time the Warriors went on somewhat of a run, and we call it a fake comebacks. Um, that guy, he just walked down the floor, and you could just tell he was like, "This is bullshit. I'm gonna end this right now." Give us your antics. Where are you at with Ant-Man right now?
Um, I think he is, I don't know about potential. The biggest fear with him was always interest level, right? Like when at Georgia, he seemed bored. And maybe it was he was bored with the competition and you only just do as much as, your energy takes you. And so I think the biggest difference is that 3-point shot being crazy consistent. And as long as he doesn't, I shouldn't even say this, like if he falls in love with it, because if he averages 13 threes a game, that's good. That's fine. If he's hitting 40%, that's great. It's a whole Steph Curry theory when he, jumped up his attempts. But because he has that other element to him, that drive game, finish around the basket, even the mid range, because once you get in the air, you're not going to block. Once he gets in the air, you're not going to block that thing. Like, as long as he doesn't just get bored with all of it, right? Like if he falls in love with his 3-point game and he just does that too much and doesn't really balance his game with everything else, like he's got to have that Jordan mentality of, and I remember who did Jordan tell this to? It was, man, oh, it was LeBron. I want to see 1-2 dribble pull up. Like this is before, this is when LeBron was in high school. Like if you can get Anthony Edwards to think, he already thinks this, I'm the best player on the floor. I'm gonna simplify the game. Like I'm not gonna sit here and just dance with you for a little bit and then I'm just gonna make it as simple as possible. He might be the most unstoppable force in the league if he gets to that point. And so I'm almost afraid for him to do that. But I think it's a great counter to whatever the hell Wemby's going to do because that's another like overwhelming, thing you can't defend. And so if you would have like they call, Dwayne Wade with the 3-point shot, like imagine Dwayne Wade with this level of 3-point shot when he played. So it's just the evolution of the game and is 1000% the truth. I hope his maturity catches up with him, right? So that he doesn't mess up what everybody sees coming, right? Because that he's a free spirit. And this is a word that Steve Kerr likes to use about Steph Curry. He's got a swashbuckling attitude, and all that's great as long as you don't screw it up by doing the wrong things. So I think people sort of walk on eggshells a little bit with him before they say, yeah, he could be next face of the league, whatever you want to call it. He could be the next it person. And I mean, if he makes the finals this year, he might be it starting next year.
Yeah, he's really just going around these last two playoffs, just collecting heads. I mean, I know that there's been circumstances with all of these teams, and
Sure.
I thought it was a little, like as much as I believe in Ant and his confidence, I thought it was a little funny to see them doing like the night night. And I was like, I think that would have hit just a little harder if Steph was in a jersey and not street
Yeah.
clothes. But
But that's the other thing about Ant that I find respectable is just like you can see his respect for the game and for the greats, and just like you can almost see him coming to terms with the fact that, wow, I can fit my place right in there with KD, with Steph, or whomever, as long as I stay down this path. And so, yeah, it's like he knows, as he says, he's the truth. It's just a matter of like, hey, maintain it, keep that growth. Like you got Julius Randle, looking like an all-star again. Like, yeah, do whatever you can with what you have and stay on that path because like it's just that overwhelming. I can't do anything to stop you. Like he has those elements to his game, and it doesn't come around in everybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm personally rooting for them to win it. Like, I think it's on the way to be that next guy. But kind of just bringing it back to this series. Like, obviously, Warriors got bounced at five. Steph with the hamstring injury, game one. But a lot was made about playoff Jimmy coming and making the trade for Jimmy Butler. And I'll be the first, and I'm sure all of us are on the same page.
I see the smile on Matt's face right here. Yeah,
Yeah,
like you don't even need to finish the question.
yeah,
Like
no, like Jimmy Butler's
I
just stuff.
took down Jimmy just the other day after the nine shot attempt game, and I told people in San Francisco when he got traded over there on the radio interviews that I did that like there's going to be times where you're going to be like, why did you pass up that shot? Why
Mhm.
didn't you look at the rim there? It doesn't make any sense. And it just so happened this time it was in the playoffs that people really started recognizing that about him. But like when he was in Miami, once he got to the playoffs, he wasn't doing that anymore. Everything that if there was like a sliver of space, he would go up. If there was like just a little bit of room to take a jump shot, he would take it. And if you even remember the game that he went nuts against Milwaukee, it was jumper after jumper, especially late where he was just pulling
Step
up for
back
Just
three,
three.
pull up
down up
threes. Yeah.
two. Yeah.
Exactly. So that is the version of Jimmy that you need to see in these spots. And it was just mind boggling that it wasn't happening. Like, I'm sure you guys would agree with me. If he took 35 shots and went like 12 for 35, you'd be like, you know what? He gave it. He
Yeah. I
tried.
think the clip.
Wasn't his team, tried to take over at the most desperate time. We'll live with that. I think this is the worst possible scenario for him when you extended him and he's getting his money for the next couple of years. And say what you will about, the ass injury or maybe he had a little illness. Like Jimmy is the guy probably most in the league that you would say in his mind tells himself he's going to work through that and he's just going to like fight and it's all I have to do is win one game and I'll be championed because I get us to game six and hopefully Steph gets back. It didn't even seem like that was a thought process in his head. Like normally, like you could transparent, you can see exactly what Jimmy's thinking, whether it was, bust my ass to try to beat the Celtics or not do anything. And, when he was clearly not doing anything and trying to get traded for the Miami Heat. So it was just weird. I feel bad for the Warriors and, even Draymond building up and saying we're going to win the championship. Like people believe that shit because it
You
just
think they
happened
could?
3 years
You
ago,
think they could have? How? What's your
I
thoughts?
absolutely think they could
Right?
have
Okay, cool. We're
if
not
they were
crazy.
100% healthy.
Yeah, like we're not crazy for thinking that if the if
That's how good Steph is.
yeah.
That's how good he is. That's where we are with the league. Like, and that's why I think, there might be like the last time the league seemed up for grabs, people started making super teams because it's like, hey, it's up for grabs. Let's just go get it. And so I think that's what might happen this offseason. You never really know, although, the new CBA makes things a lot more difficult. But yeah, I think they could have absolutely won it. And what I think in the going forward, like the urgency of it is going to increase. I really probably really wants to get to Kobe, really wants to get to MJ, and if he gets to MJ, like that conversation's happening. Like top three, top one, I don't know. And so I think there's going to be like, hey, let's whatever it takes, try to load up that team, whether it be LeBron, whether it be Giannis. Like everybody loves Steph. Everybody would like love the idea of playing with Steph, winning a second or third or fourth or fifth championship with Steph. Like I think it's still very possible, but yes, I absolutely think this year was possible.
And then kind of on that note, like as we pivot to the offseason, we were talking about it a little bit. It felt a little, at least I was thinking saying this. It feels a little like the 2021 season where right, you got hot towards the end. The season was up and down. Steph kind of got hurt. You ended up in the play-in this time, obviously in the playoffs. But you going into that offseason with, hey, sign a few good vets, and we'll see what happens. And Steph kind of had that, you don't want to see us next year type of energy. In today's kind of exit interviews, similar-ish
Leave me
kind of.
alone this summer.
Yeah, leave me alone this summer. Like I'm going back to work. Like, and it feels like the Jimmy trade, everything kind of come together. This next season is the kind of push your chips all in,
Yeah, and look,
getting
if
one
you
more.
want to tell yourself that, that's fine. I totally am I'm on board with that. Like, I don't think you've gotten a full season of Jimmy Butler in the regular season in the last few years, but okay, maybe you'll get one. I don't think that's necessary. Like, just secure a top six seed, get a chemistry, and you're fine. But they need to upgrade.
And
They
that was
need
my question.
something,
Like, where
right?
where
Like
where do
the
you see
Brandon
like,
Pajemskis,
yeah.
I don't love it. Moses Moody wasn't even playable at some point. Obviously, like I think Jonathan Kuminga is a very reasonable rotation player in the NBA. It just doesn't seem to work in Steve's system. That's fine. He can go somewhere else, but like you need to upgrade. Like I've said this a couple of times. I think Trey Murphy the third would be a dream player on this team. There's no
Draft
chance in
him.
hell you're going to get him, but that type of player, somebody that can be, you don't have to be top 75 of all time to be a really solid two-way player. Be able to hit
Tell
some
Joe Lacob,
threes,
my guy.
right? And so, like yeah, I think they need to make some moves. I think they need to, not fall in love with some of the young guys that they've made who are under contract. They just maybe need to, make a decision on and move on. But yeah, to me, I think this is the phase where Steph's going to be like, look, I know I said what I said about not mortgaging the future of the organization, yada yada. But one or two big swings down the stretch of my career wouldn't be the worst because no dynasty continues into another dynasty. Even Peyton Manning going to Andrew Luck, like he retired. And so like the gods aren't going to let that happen again. So there's going to be, and if any organization can deal with a few years of not being good, it's the Warriors. It dealt with 40 years of not being good. So like take the big swings, do whatever you got to do to piece together for one or two small window like super team. Do that, and just rally around Steph that way because I don't think anybody's going to complain about that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I think the thing you said too is that, you know, minds can change. As Steph said, like, hey, don't mortgage the future. Uh Now he's looking at this and you're seeing like, oh, we got Jimmy Butler for pennies on the dollar. Obviously, there were reasons
Right.
why they got him for as little as they needed to give up. And they saw how this took a 500 basketball team. They were 25 and 26 when they got him to an incredible end of the season run, made a push to win 50 games and catapulted them all the way to the second round. And like you said, a second round that, if fully healthy, they could have won. And who knows what would happen from there. So I think it's fully understandable to think, hey, well, the youth is going to be great. We need some athleticism. We need an injection of talent. And who's to tell Steph Curry he can't change his mind because he sees like, oh, we brought in like a veteran star, a guy who's been there, a guy who's done this before, and it completely changed our season. So I can't fault him for being like, you know what? Maybe I don't want us to just, sit back and draft every year and try to add someone. But Matt, I know you got one more for our guy Izzy here.
Well, Izzy, I just want to say, part of me thinks that maybe you're glad Jimmy Butler broke his ass this season. Okay, so are you how do you how do you feel about the whole Jimmy saga? How it ended? He's a Warrior now. We automatically love him. I'm gonna be honest. But
Yeah, look,
also he had an ugly ass exit. So I just want to get your thoughts real quick.
yeah, I gave him a hard time because if, and I say if, like in my heart of hearts, like after they got past the Rockets, I'm cheering hard for the Warriors. And I just wanted more out of him. And so, you combine that with, there are a lot of people at the Miami Heat I like, and he didn't treat them great. And so I didn't love that. And so I think that colors how I see him a little bit. But in terms of production, like, Miami Heat fans are sort of like proud right now because they're saying to themselves, hey, we got the best of Jimmy Butler. He'll never be that again. He can be that again. He can have a great season next year. He can have a good playoff run. Like he's got a really unlucky with ankle injuries, with the spill there against Houston, and so all that's gonna come back. I would say you can't get that unlucky every time. I think if they build the right team around him, Steph and Draymond, hopefully he has a great run and they make another run at it because he's really only fun to watch if he's got high stakes involved. It's not like his game is that like, you're not going to go back and watch a bunch of Jimmy Butler highlights. So yeah, it's like he's fun when he's in the high stakes and I'd love to see him there again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No. And Izzy, this has been awesome, man. We appreciate you joining us. Like we said, we have one quick little fun segment we want to do here.
All
And
right.
would like for you to start off by just kind of talking about Dubs Dynasty, the podcast, kind of where the idea came from. But while we get it set up, we got a little role player draft of the Warriors era. But would love to just hear a little bit more about the show and kind of the thought process behind it. And yeah.
Sure, yeah. Like I think I mentioned a little bit earlier that it was good timing because it was like the anniversary, the 10-year anniversary of the 15 championship. And I think with, most whatever it is, whether it be sports stories or whether it be movies, like the origin story is super interesting. And I think the more we got away from the beginning of those Warriors, the greatness was just so in your face that you probably forgot about like the origin story and some of that fun and like just the Steph story in himself, Draymond story, just the people, even Larry Riley is so much fun to talk to. The people who like discovered these players, and it just brought them to life and just create like when you have a vision, whether it's Joe Lacob or whether it's any of these guys, and it like comes to life like just even greater than you could have imagined. Like it's overwhelmingly cool. And to just go back and just revisit some of that with some of the people that went through it, even honestly, some of the coolest part is like the opponents are willing to come back and talk to you about it because it's like Trevor Ariza, like I remember when we first started his interview, he was just like, I can't believe I'm sitting here doing a damn podcast about the Warriors because like they made him miserable. But he had so much respect that he is more than willing to do it. And so yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's the idea of like an audio documentary. I love documentaries, watch them all the time. An audio documentary as a podcast, kind of like I wouldn't say untapped, there's plenty of them, but not as popular as they should be. Let's put it that way. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And like I said, I did the 4 years of Heat one. And we actually released it on the same feed, so if
Yeah,
anybody
good
who
overlap.
listened to Dub Dynasty gets a little itch and wants to go back a few years and listen to that Heat pod, I would very much recommend it.
Awesome, guys. Yeah, check it out. Just been listening to it myself. It's been awesome as a Warriors fan. Just grew up as one. Like I said, just fantastic content.
Definitely the target audience. Let's put it
Yeah,
that
no,
way.
it's hidden for sure, especially after the season ended yesterday. It's like, hey, we did do that. We do
Yeah.
still have those banners, so it makes it a little easy to swallow. But Chuck, let's should we get this draft going?
Yes, sir. So when we talked about doing this, when I was listening to the show and we're getting all nostalgic, I thought, what is a better activity than just sitting back and naming some dudes? There is no, there is no more simple pleasure than just thinking, oh, remember that guy.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, you've been digging into this history of the Warriors, everything is fresh. We wanted to do a role player draft of the Steph Curry era. For
Wow.
those of you,
Spreadsheet it all.
oh,
That's how
we're
we do. We got
spreadsheeting
the
it.
production quality is.
We're spreadsheeting it. For those of you listening, if you want to hop over to the YouTube and follow along here, but
We got
we
the
thought we'd
video
just hit it
episodes on
quick.
Spotify. Warriors Invitational. Check it out, guys.
Yes, yes, sir. But we wanted to hit it quick. We got a little player pool here if you need a little inspiration.
Hmm.
But Izzy, you're the guest. We're giving
Is
you
Anderson Varejao and Guy
1.1.
Santos, are they the same person? Can we conclude them as two
You
different
can do. You can
people?
do it. Yeah, you can do get
We
both.
may we may need to go to video review on that
Okay.
one to determine. which well-haired Brazilian is there, but you're our guest. You
Wow.
take it away. You got the
First
top
So
pick.
is
pick.
this so first of all, how many rounds and is it a snake draft?
I'm thinking snake, so we do four, keep it nice and tight. We're not
Okay.
going for like starting lineup or
Not
your
go. Got
bet.
it.
It doesn't even have to be
It's a
who do you
4-on-4
think was the
roster. Okay,
best.
too
All
much
right.
space.
All
Let's go.
right. Perfect. All right. Let me see that list again because I know the first name that comes to mind. I just want to make sure that there's not somebody else that I want to jump right in front. And damn it, if Andrew Wiggins wasn't tempting because he was an all-star, but no, it's not going to do it for me. No, no, no. Okay, I am definitely starting. I'm sorry, Andrew Iguodala. I'm starting with Sean Livingston. Sean
Wow.
Oh,
Okay,
Livingston has
yeah.
never
yes.
missed a mid-range jumper. He people don't even remember that he was on the other championship teams. Sean Livingston, to me, was the perfect teammate for that team. That's where I'm starting.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic pick.
It's a
Love
great
that.
pick.
Gotham, you are up.
I'm up, and I had kind of pre-selected this one in my mind because our organization, the way we're picking is vibes. And I'm
Okay.
going with the guys that I just loved watching as a kid and throughout this run. My first pick has to be the one and only Mo Buckets, man.
No,
Give
that
me
was gonna
Maurice
be my
Space.
next pick. You
Give
took
me
my
Maurice Space,
gator.
man.
Damn
Oh,
it.
dude. The pick and pop, just the
Ah.
little I don't know the wart on his head. I just it was just oh, I
I
love
called it a tiny hat.
I was
It
like this.
was
It was awesome, and just he was automatic. The guy never missed. Just good vibes. Great role player. I
such a good pick.
love I think he showed up to a few games this year, and throughout this run, it's been awesome to see. Like Mo Buckets was always one of those kind of forever warrior type of guys. So my first
What did
pick,
Kevin Durant say? How they call you Mo Buckets? You haven't even
yeah,
averaged 20 in the league.
you didn't get the real Mo Buckets experience, man. So Mo Buckets is my first pick.
Great pick.
Matt, you are
That's
up.
a great pick, man. Chuck, for I don't know who's hosting this podcast. I forget. But for including Brad Wanamaker on here, I almost want to have you removed. Uh, I personally think that if COVID hadn't started the way it did, we would have all gotten it from watching Brad Wanamaker play basketball. So get him off that list, please.
All right,
Well,
I'll do it for you.
I thank you. I uh I gotta take our guy, Andy Iguodala. Okay, Andre Iguodala is my first pick. This is
Damn
the
it, I thought he was
he's
going
the
to stick
GOAT role player,
around.
man. He's yeah. Well, that was a silly take, Izzy. Come on, man. But there's no it's
It's a
no
snake
six
draft
man of
too.
the year is
Yeah, no
insane.
shot.
What are we doing? Finals MVP.
I would argue
I
role
get it.
player is even a
Yeah, that's a
hard
stretch, but
label for him as a finals MVP, but yeah, that should have been the
Hey,
number
well,
one
I'm
pick.
just saying Julius Randle is on track to win that award this year, so who knows what's gonna happen, okay?
Hey, I said this earlier today on another show. If Julius Randle has the same last 5 years for the next 5 years, dude's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
That's six
Oh, I
All-Star
mean,
games, six All NBAs. Yeah, and he won the
oh, a
most
couple
improved. Dude's
rings.
a Hall of Famer.
I'm in. That's the
I
kind of
see the
take we like
vision.
on this show, Izzy.
All right. Well,
Chuckster.
man, it's tough with the back-to-back here because I got to choose like who do I want to put first and give that extra amount of respect here. But uh, the board man gets paid. I'm going with Kevon Looney.
That's a great
Wow,
Uh,
pick, Chuck.
Looney over Bogut. That's
I
wild.
just, it's my attachment to, I have a special place in my heart for Bogut being part of those first teams. I'm just going personal favorites here. I'm not thinking about who was better. Obviously, we'd all pick Bogut if that was the case, but Looney going from like high school mixtape Loon to where everyone
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, this is Milwaukee's Kevin Durant," to the double hip surgery. Yeah, I still
Well,
remember the stories.
he went to too slow to get crossed over, Chuck. That was our thing for a long time. You could not cross Looney over because he just couldn't move his legs fast enough for that to even happen. So,
Yeah, like so many things. Like he was the best. He was always the best Joel Embiid and Jokic defender we had because he just
Yep.
wouldn't jump. Yeah,
He
he's
could
like, I'm
also
just
guard
standing in
Harden
front of you.
just sneakily well too, in those hard Rocket series with the Harden guys. Man,
Yeah.
he'd stay in front of them.
His nickname was Stay Down.
Yeah,
You don't have to tell him to
Stay
stay
down.
down.
Yeah, like
yeah.
he just the amount of times he got counted out and just came back and was like, I'm here. I'm getting these rebounds.
Right.
That
Super
King
nice guy too.
series,
So it's a great pick.
I had to do it. Love Kavan, and oh man, I'm so torn on this next one because there's so many of the older players I love, but I gotta go with the Splash Brother before there were the Splash Brothers. I'm going Darrell Wright.
Wow, my guy from Miami. I
Yeah, that's
love Darrell
right.
Wright. Oh
Darrell,
man.
I figured we had a crowd pleaser here with the Miami roots, but
So happy
Darrell
for him
just
when he started got the Golden State, hitting all those threes. What the thing that drove me, it's a wild thing about drove me nuts about Darrell, right? When he was a younger kid and he was finally getting some playing time, he I started asking him, I was just like, you're a crazy athlete. Like, why don't you try to finish over people some more? And he's just like, I've been trying to save my knees, man. And I'm just like, what? You're like 22 years old. What do you mean save your knees? It was just a weird answer, but I love Darrell.
He has
now
one
when he
of the
sits down for
craziest
Warriors
like
post game.
early. He has one of the like best like early career Steph highlights. They had a full court back alley-oop, and Darrell Wright was the one that caught it. It was the NBC Sports Bay Area. Like they always played that in like the commercials and stuff.
I don't
And
remember that
I
one. I
think
gotta
it's
look it up.
2012, I want to say, or maybe before that, 2010. I think it was Steph's second year. They had the new jerseys,
Hmm.
but it's got the
I hated those jerseys.
one of
Still
those.
do.
Yeah, yeah, 2010, 2011, one of those. But great pick, great pick.
All right, Matt, we're back up.
Okay, get me out there, Chuck. Get me to the list, please.
We will take you
Well,
to the list.
I appreciate you, sir. Udo being there makes my day. I thought he was going to be an all-star for about 3 months. That's awesome. I appreciate that one. Oh man. I'm gonna take the I'm sorry for all the COVID references, but I think I'm taking the anti-vax king, Andrew Bogut, for my next pick. So get him on there, okay?
That's a
I
great
thought
pick.
I thought earlier, Izzy, when you were saying he 7 a.m. cracked open, I thought you were gonna say a Foster. So I'm glad it was his
Nah,
laptop.
nah.
Love it.
He's not that cliche.
Cool. Hey, but Loki, you had it in the pod. Great passing big man. Again, starting center on a 73 win team. One of the great. He's low key great trash talker. He was awesome. He was great out there. Loved Bogues. Um, the Warriors would be so lucky to have him now.
People forget he
Real.
just showed back up in 2019.
For a
Yeah.
hot minute. End of the season. Yeah.
All right. I'm torn here because I know we're going into some good eras, 2012, 20, 15, 16 times early thing, but I feel like the 2022 ring slept on, not slept on, everybody loves it, but the role players there, they feel still kind of not as nostalgic as some of these guys, but I'm torn between two guys here because we don't win the championship without either of them. But I'm gonna go with Jordan Poole here.
I was gonna say you better go with Jordan
I'm
Poole.
going with Jordan Poole here because, man, the dude when he was at his kind of peak as a Warrior, like I think the first game that it felt like he really put it together with that 2022 year was against the Heat, and I think Steph was out and he had like 30 something, and it was just it really felt like you were watching baby Steph, and
Yeah.
that entire playoff run, like. I'm sure people remember Poole was the one that started for the first 4 games because Steph was coming off the injury, and they were like, "Yo, we're winning. Like, we're gonna rock with Jordan
You
Poole."
literally cannot tell the story of the Golden State Warriors without Jordan Poole.
Oh
Like
yeah,
you
man.
can't.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
that's a great pick.
sadly, it ended not as well as we would have hoped. And who knows? We would have loved Jordan Poole on this team yesterday. But the memories from that 2022 run. I always just was envious of Jordan Poole because he's my age, and I was like, my dream was to play with Steph Curry and like win a championship with him. So to see somebody
Wait,
my
your dream was that?
Oh yeah, back in the sixth,
Wow.
seventh grade.
That is an ambitious dream.
You would have been talking to me on the pod about me on the podcast. That was the hope here. But
Like, I'm gonna be that
Jordan
guy's
Poole,
water boy.
yeah, no, Jordan Poole
I
kind
will
of lived
carry
out
his
the
towels like nobody has ever carried towels before.
yeah, man.
Um,
So I'm going
Izzy, we
Jordan
got
Poole.
you up for back to back.
Whew, let me see that list. Oh man. Hmm. There are so many guys on this team that I would say like I would pick as dream like role players just because I had so much fun watching them play. So I am eschewing any other reasoning other than that. And Jarrett Jack had way too many moments that I
Yes.
absolutely loved. And so I gotta say, Jared Jack, he's coaching somewhere, right?
Distance, yep.
Yeah. And I know we're not picking an actual team, but I need some defense and I need some, I don't really understand why you're good. Andres Biedrins.
Yes.
That dude,
Mm.
whew, like what year was that? I think it was the We Believe team was when he went like 10-9, right? That was his best year. Maybe not. It was the year after that. But that dude, like, I don't understand how he didn't have a better career, longer career, because there were times where I watched him and I was like, God damn, like that dude is really good and he can really block a shot. He can really do a bunch of things. And it was just like, yeah, I don't know what happened there. But in terms of my memories of the Warriors, always has a soft spot in my heart. So picking Mr.
Love it.
Biedrins.
Yeah, that's a
Hmm.
I know my shit pick. Nice, well done, Izzy. Love it.
I never got his free throw form. Like it's the
You
backspin,
shouldn't.
but
You
it's
shouldn't.
crazy
You
to
should never.
Well, it
yeah.
cost him in the long run. So
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Who am
Fair.
I going with it? Chuck, can I see the list?
Of course.
It
There's
would
an
be
all-star on this list,
it
which I don't
would
feel great
be
about leaving
yeah.
out there.
I'm gonna go with this guy. He was here on the 2017
Oh, there's
team,
two all-stars. I'm sorry. I didn't even realize Cousins.
but I'm
oh,
going more so just for like the vibes from the We Believe team the first year I remember watching. I'm going Matt Barnes, man. Just a good warrior. We Believe team just hitting some of those big threes. He's back. Oh yeah, Chuck's got him on the shirt. I always liked Matt Barnes as a player. Just kind of like the dudes that would, not be afraid of just, being that kind of enforcer type of guy. And now after retirement, like all the smoke, I love the podcast. I feel like Matt Barnes, good warrior. So I'm gonna go with Matt Barnes. Was on that 2017 team, champion. So Bay Area kind of shout out there for Matt Barnes.
I've got some thoughts. So I think I don't even know if he finished on the roster that year. So the version of Matt Barnes you're getting was
Yeah, but
not the
we're
best
we're
one. But
going.
hey, but overall, you got a guy who's willing to drive about an hour and a half
Enforcer.
at 100 miles an hour to go
Yeah,
beat the
there
shit
you
out of a
go.
guy who was allegedly hitting on his wife. So you got that guy. So that's a big win for you. Um, Man, this is quite the list. I'm seeing Izili. I loved Izili. He may have cost the Warriors a bit of that 2016 title. Varejao is part of that crew as well. Barbosa's still on this list, which is insane to me.
Meep, meep.
Um, I wish I had a better hate pick. I kind of wish you had left Wanamaker on there, excuse me, because I think it would have been good to have leftover from the hate draft a few weeks ago. So, you know what I'm gonna do? I enjoyed this guy immensely. I don't think he's still in the league. I don't know if he was in the league before this season. He was on the Warriors either. He about had one quick stint. I talked myself into almost everybody except Brad Wanamaker, and I'm taking Kai Bowman with my pick.
Ooh.
Uh,
Wow.
he
I
started
was
a lot
just
of
looking at
games.
that name and saying, surely nobody's picking Kai Bowman.
No, I love Kai Bowman, man. He started a lot of games for the Warriors the year that they were the worst team in the league when Steph and Clay were out. Um, in my head,
And then he
he was like Ty
disappeared.
Jerome. Yeah, well, it goes to show why you shouldn't listen to a single word I say. If you're Brad Wanamaker listening by any chance, you should take nothing I say seriously based on all this. But yeah, I'm going Kai Bowman. I love that guy. I thought he was a mainstay going forward. Um, he was not. But that one season he was there, I thought he was one of the brighter spots of the year.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was weirdly, I think, one of the seasons I watched most intensely in the regular season because it was after, 5 straight years of the Warriors are excellent. We know who the top guys are, everything. And then it's like, well, Steph's out, Clay's out. Draymond is basically taking PTO while on the clock.
Well,
So let me just watch all these guys and see who can be something.
it's funny because that year, Steve talked about it being the most fun he had coaching. That was the most fun I had being a
No
fan in the
lie.
last 6 years. It was the least stressful of the last six, I would say. So, shots to Kai Bowman in the 2019-2020 Warriors.
No, that was a fun one. Man, I'm torn. I have one pick I know I have to make, and this is solely due to my pet snake, whose full legal name is Zaza Pachulia. So I
Ah,
I I truly have to take him for a shout out to
a
Zaza.
saint of a human being, Jaja Pachulia. No matter
Yeah.
what Spurs fans say.
The
You got a
man,
pet
yeah.
snake?
Yeah. Oh, I've shown you guys Zaza before, but
This is
um
actually he's talking about snakes only, Izzy. I see you furrowing your eyebrows, okay?
My no, my college roommate had a pet snake, which is why I was furrowing my eyebrows, and it did not make me
Oh.
happy.
you don't this is the mayor much like Zaza, the worst he can do is bite your ankles. So there's nothing to fear from him. Um I'm I'm so torn for this last one because there's so many guys that I love here. Uh I'd hate to see my guy Wiggins go unpicked. I love me some
I
Dame.
think Izzy's called it out a few times. I'm just saying, can we call him a role player that season? Is did he graduate from role player status in 2022?
I mean,
I think he
let's
had to.
Matt,
Like if
You took
That's
Andre
fair.
Iguodala, man. Like if we put
right, well, if you're on a
Hey,
team with Steph, Clay, and Draymond, I think you have to be considered a role player, right?
That was kind of
yeah,
my
unless
thinking
you're
is like
Kevin
anyone
Durant
it's all
besides
good.
or
them.
I hey, I'm out. I quit. I'm sorry. My
Like
bad.
I said, KD, a role player, right?
yeah,
Hey.
yeah.
Yeah,
That'll be the clip of the like the podcast this episode's case.
I got to go with a guy like every every great like samurai movie or something like that has the old warrior that makes his final stand. He puts on the armor one last time and he leaves it all out on the battlefield and it's the climax of the movie and he helps turn the tide. Um I'm going with Otto Porter Jr. The guy could barely move for that one season. He's just every time you watched him, you're just like, oh man, he just looks like one wrong step away from his career being over.
Hmm.
And the
Maybe that's
defense he
why he said
played,
no to the pod. Oh, wait, what? Sorry.
but man, the defense that guy played, the shots he hit, he went out on his shield with that title. So I gotta give some shout out to him.
A max
Maybe
guy,
the
Otto Porter Jr.
perhaps the best center of the Steph Curry era in some ways, believe it or not, you know. So love that pick, Chuck. I was thinking about it. It was on my radar. They don't
So,
win
by the way,
22
Matt's
without him.
team so far, in line this foursome or whatever, uh,
Go.
two starters. Well, maybe not starters, but two top six from the greatest team of all, or one of the greatest teams of all time.
Hey,
Kai Bowman, yes.
Yeah, and then Kai
Yeah, I
Bowman,
think I vote.
just balancing everything out.
Yeah.
Makes
I
perfect
just want to
sense.
say Kai belongs. Okay. And if you guys ever see him in the street, I hope you're honest about how you talked about him tonight. Okay. All right, Chuck, give me there. I think I know how I'm gonna take, but I just want to make sure I have it all ready to go. Okay, I'm gonna go. Geez, I'm really bummed about Barbosa still being there. I'm not gonna take him, but I can't believe nobody else has, man. I've got too much guard talent, so I'm gonna leave it alone.
I'm
I'm
currently
taking
Googling Alan Smale
oh
I'll
Jr.
just
Smiley.
yeah, there you go.
I
Yeah,
have no
this is
idea who that
The
is.
Joe
oh you
Lacob
can
Oh,
project.
there's a
I know who
Reddit
he is. I just didn't know his
yeah
name.
there's a Reddit rabbit hole waiting for you to dive down for this guy, man, and
All
it's
right.
all filled with fire and hatred. So you go have fun,
He
okay?
won't be my pick, though.
I'm going JTA, man. I can't.
Okay.
Uh, Same thing. He was on that 22 team. He was one of the very, very few bright spots of the 2020, 2021
I thought of
seasons.
him as the 2022 Matt Barnes. Like, not that he played the same
Yeah,
role Matt
yeah.
Barnes did, but kind of a Matt Barnesy-ish
He
type of
would, I
player.
think he played probably 0 minutes in the NBA Finals, if you had to make me guess. Outside of maybe the last, no, because we got the big five out there for that last run. But no, he was a revelation to a degree. Again, this is me talking myself and everybody. I thought for a moment we had found the second Draymond Green in Juan Toscano Anderson. He is now, I believe, playing. I want to say in the Mexican League.
Mexico,
I'm
he's
not
the
positive.
Mexico City G League, I think.
He's in the G League team. Cool. He was the MVP in that league, though. It's just a heads up. Okay, so don't
Hmm.
disrespect my guy. Um, just shouts, just shouts. I've got my 1/4 Mexican. I love it. There's there. My dad's proud, half Mexican. My grandma was a proud Mexican woman. So JTA was a big deal. I'm taking it. That's our
Nice.
guy.
I like that one.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, great pick.
Gotham, how are you closing this out?
I w debating taking my most hated Warriors role player ever is Richard Jefferson. Those two missed free throws in game one against the Spurs.
You can't
I
take. He was
still will
on the
never forget. I'm
2016
not taking
Cavs.
him,
You
but
can't take RJ.
I just wanted people to know that. Like Richard Jefferson, those two missed free throws since 2013, hands down one of my worst or most hated NBA players. But I will go with I gotta take Wiggs, man. Like, gotta love Wiggs. Just great guy, great warrior. Stamped. We don't win obviously the championship in 22 without him. I love just his story, how he kind of he revitalized his career, but just another kind of warrior win story and a guy you just love to see be successful.
All
So
you got to do is look at the post game when the Heat played the Warriors and Jimmy's little comeback game. Like Jimmy didn't say anything to anybody. Everybody came over
everybody
to
came with the
say
Wiggs.
and
Everybody
talk to
loves Wiggs.
Wiggs.
It was hard to see him go, but hey, like we're happy with how it worked out.
Yeah.
But hey, Wiggs sign and trade for Kuminga. Who knows? Maybe we'll get him back. But yeah, Andrew Wiggins, shouts, man.
Is this my last pick? Is this the last pick of the
Last pick,
draft?
close it out, Izzy.
Wow,
Yep.
Last
Mr.
pick.
Super Relevant. All right, so
All the
I'm going to give
pressure's
you who
on.
I thought who my other two would have been. By the way, I'm pretty sure Michael Mulder is just an Oakland A's pitcher. Oh no, that's Mark Mulder. Never mind. So the three people that I'm deciding between are I can't believe I'm going to leave him out, but Leandro Barbosa. And the only reason is that because, like, you know what? I kind of remember him as a Phoenix Sun, so I don't want to cross streams there. But and then the other one that I'm leaving out that I really wanted to pick was Jonas Jerebko. Man, that guy had a couple of good games that year. It was just
Game
like,
winner
man,
against
what
Utah.
a but I
Homecoming.
got to go with my guy because whenever they needed a bucket, felt like they would go to Carl Landry in the mid post.
Love it.
And I
Great.
got to go with Carl Landry as my fourth pick. Wow,
Well,
there's
you've
no
got the
Sean Livingston's my only champion on this list, huh?
Yeah.
yes.
This is
It's a
this
Yes.
good
is
one to have.
still this is a role player sicko choices of Warriors guys to be proud of. I mean,
Kai
one
Boban
one
made the list,
champion
man.
aside, yeah, those are some deep cuts. We love this. Oh man, I love ththese results here. We'll put them up with the pod, but
Yeah.
Izzy, this has been a treat, man. This
That was a
is
lot
this
of
has been
fun.
so much fun. I'm glad we got to chat with you about this, go through the Warriors of then and now.
Dub
We've
Dynasty, check it out. We
mhm.
really want to press on the Warriors fans. That's kind
Yeah.
of our target audience. So come on.
Yeah. Well, hopefully,
Download, subscribe, do whatever you got to do.
absolutely. Well,
I'd say
Izzy,
conservatively, that's 100% of our
yeah.
demographic. So,
Great.
Yeah, no, we
Great.
appreciate it, man. It's been cool. I mean, it's just kind of shout out to you as well, Izzy. Like seeing you on ESPN as a kid on Around the Horn and stuff. So this is really cool for us. So
Thank you,
thank you
bud. I'll
for
be on my last Around the Horn show on Thursday. It's the second to last episode
Mm,
ever.
tough.
rest in
Well, end of
peace.
an
We'll miss
era.
it.
Another maybe. Hey, we'll get a Around the Horn podcast, 10 years from now, and do
Hey,
both.
maybe.
But no, appreciate you
Thunder
joining
Really's
on.
looking for work.
This has been really awesome. Love to have you on again. After the fifth title, after
Yeah.
awesome, whatever.
Charlie, you have my email address. You can just email me directly whenever. I can come on whenever you guys want.
That'd be awesome, man.
Sweet.
But no, appreciate it. And
Listen, all I'm saying is next time you're here, I want to hear about your roommate Snake. All right.
Oh God, that was the worst of the room. I had 5 roommates my freshman year, and he was just the worst of them. But yeah, I'll tell you all
Fun.
about him.
sounds like we got a lot.
All right,
We'll
guys.
get story time with Izzy. But yeah, appreciate it, guys. Keep checking us out. Follow us for the off season. We'll catch y'all on the next episode. Peace.